control, or LCC for short, is an amazing technology that was brought out in the mid-2010s. Yet you hardly hear anything about it. When you go to websites searching for it, you're hit with technical specifications rather than practical applications. I'm hoping to demystify LCC through a series of videos, and in the next video after this, we're actually going to install an LCC network and hook it up to JMRI. But first, let's look at what LCC actually is.
Layout Command Control was created by the National Model Railroad Association, so it stands to reason that if I want to learn about Layout Command Control, or LCC, the best place to start would be the nmra.org website. But when you arrive there, you'll see that there is no links to LCC on the main page. Now keep in mind, the content of this page will change over time, so it's possible they'll add it, but for something that's been out there for 10 years, it's surprising there's nothing there. But if you go across to the various menus, there is nothing mentioning LCC. So let's try education. Perhaps it's in there. Look, there's a beginner's guide. Let's go to the beginner's guide. Still, nothing about Layout Command Control. There's an index to the various parts of the education programming here. Nothing on LCC. So, I actually had to go to their search box and type in Layout Command Control. Ah, look, the first item, Layout Command Control. So where is it on this website? Layout, oh, we noticed the standards menu lit up. So we're somewhere under the standard section. But you go through here, there's a brief overview, but it's very, very technical, because this section of standards and recommended practices and all that, that's really defined for manufacturers that are going to create devices to work on Layout Command Control. And here's a list of Layout Command Control standards. Physical layer, data link layer, network and transport layer, session layer. Geez, I don't want to get into that level of technical detail. And you don't have to. Those are all networking terms, and you don't need to know any of that as a user. So, let's move on.
Now that I've completed my editorial on the lack of information from the National Model Railroad Association on LCC, I want to get into what LCC actually is, but I want to keep it non-technical. Most end users are not going to be programmers or electronic specialists. They want plug and play. Simply put, LCC is a network connecting devices which control the model railroad. These can include throttles via jacks or wireless, switch machines, signals, detection, structure lighting, fast clocks, and more. The network utilizes standard Ethernet cables like you use for your computers. Each LCC device has 2, and perhaps more, ports for connection to the network. LCC devices are daisy-chained together to create a bus network. One LCC device must provide power to the network. An LCC may be connected to a computer for control, for example via JMRI. A quick comparison. Many DCC networks like Digitrax's LocoNet utilize 6-wire flat cables. The Ethernet cables that LCC uses has 4 twisted pairs of cables in addition to outer shielding. The combination of the twisting and the shielding allows the Ethernet cabling to carry more traffic, which is bandwidth, and over longer distances than the 6-wire counterparts. So do you need LCC? Well, the largest determining factor is where you are in your model railroading adventure. Perhaps you have no layout yet and are planning one, or your layout is up and running, but you have yet to install electronic control of turnout signals or anything else. Or perhaps your layout is up and running with some electronic controls in place, and you're looking to expand. Or your layout is complete but having some bandwidth issues, maybe slow throttle response. And finally, your layout is complete and working fine. In the first use case, you don't have a layout yet, or your layout is up and running but you have no control in place yet. You absolutely should be looking at layout command control. It is faster and more expansive than DCC throttle networks. Keep the throttle network tied directly to the DCC manufacturer's bus like LocoNet, and let DCC run the trains and LCC run the rest of the layout. In the second use case, your layout is up and running with some electronic controls in place and you're looking to expand, or the layout is complete but you're having bandwidth issues. Using LCC will keep additional traffic off of the throttle bus. Moving some devices off of the DCC bus to an LCC bus will improve performance of the DCC bus, for instance, detection and signals. This is the scenario that I live in. I have my layout up and running. I have all of my switch machines and occupancy detection in place, and they're all running on the DCC LocoNet bus. I want to add signaling and a lot of structure lighting, and I'm going to use LCC to keep that off of the DCC bus. The third use case, your layout is complete and working fine. No, you're not a candidate for LCC. There's no reason to rip out what you have and replace it. But you could do so for play value. Another terminology with LCC that you need to be familiar with are producers and consumers. The devices available from manufacturers are either one or both of these. A producer announces a command onto the LCC bus. For instance, a track detector may produce an announcement due to a change in block occupancy. A consumer listens to the LCC bus and executes an action when so programmed. An example, upon hearing a change in block occupancy from the producer, it may result in the consumer changing a signal's aspect. Some LCC devices may be both producers and consumers. Programming may be done in JMRI, then it can be set and forget. With a lot of people using the DCC bus, a detector may announce when a block occupancy changes, and that signal goes back to the JMRI computer, which interprets it and then sends out a command to a signal to change their aspect. With LCC, with being producers and consumers, once initially programmed, the signal can listen for the producer to make the announcement and act on it automatically without going through JMRI. So it is a set and forget scenario. To set up an LCC network, you need to provide power to the bus, an Ethernet cable, a terminator at each end of the bus, and optionally a connection to JMRI. Railroad Circuits offers a number of LCC devices which are available individually. They can control turnouts, signals, all sorts of stuff. And they offer an LCC starter kit which includes their LCC buffer USB, which is a connection to your JMRI computer, a PowerPoint, which is their name for their power supply, 2 terminators, and they include a 1-foot LCC cable and a USB cable. Here on my layout, I've installed the PowerPoint, which is the power supply for the bus, with the rest of my railroad electronics. And you can see the power supply is plugged in at the bottom. Off to the right, you've got an Ethernet cable which is going over to my computer, and the other item off to the right is a terminator. At the computer on the left is the LCC buffer USB, and there's the other end of that Ethernet cable coming in at the upper left. There's another terminator because at this time these are the only two devices. And then there's a USB cable going into the docking port of my laptop, which runs JMRI. Off to the right is my LocoNet buffer, which provides a JMRI connection to LocoNet. The first time you go into JMRI, after adding that connection, you have to go into the settings and you have to create a port to talk to the LCC bus. You have to give it a unique serial port. In this case, I used COM4. The COM3 is the first default that you see, but I'm already using that for my DCC connection. Then you reboot the system, and after you reboot the system, you'll now have an LCC pull-down menu, and similar to LocoNet, there is a traffic monitor where you can actually monitor the traffic and see what's going on out there on the LCC bus. The next thing up in a future video, we're going to be installing our first LCC device. It's called Light EFX16 from Logic Rail Technologies. It can control up to 16 of the lighting circuits that are available from Woodland Scenics, and it provides a heck of a lot more power than what the Woodland Scenics controllers provide, and I'm really excited to share this with you. So stay tuned, and we'll be back shortly.